everyone. Welcome to the YouTube Mall Builders Thursday Night General Hangout. Thursday's hangouts are for the general discussion on mall railroading that we all can set a topic to discuss for the night. Thursday's hangouts are the proud sponsor of the Tuesday night presentations, the YouTube Mall Builders, eMag, and the YouTube Mall Builders live show. I want to say thanks for everybody joining in tonight's show. And here's your host for the night, Johnny Reb of Southeast Rails. Well, how's everybody doing tonight? Let me get over here where I can see things.
Not everybody at once. Doing good. How are you, Johnny?
Doing good, Andy. Jason, how you doing? We got Newcastle and we got Mr. Ralph here tonight. Let's see who we got in the chat room now. We got AJ. Let's see. Yeah, I tell you what, AJ, I think that was left over from the last show or something. It popped up when I started all the software stuff. Hey, that's good to see you're alive and well. See Jim's here. Otto. Just want to talk a minute about website postings on the community. We got one fella here, Tom Strange of Things. He's changed his logo. Looks pretty interesting. He's also started doing a beginner show. We've had several other people do beginner shows. Everybody's got their own technique and all, and Tom has got his, and looks like you might have a pretty interesting show, so you might want to check him out on his show postings. And
it is interesting. Good content. Done a good job on it.
Yeah, I've kind of thumbed through a couple of them there. Well, he's only got 2 out right now. Yeah. He's got another one coming out. But, yeah, somebody else I'd like to see post a little more, and that's Walt's World.
Yeah, he's had some really nice layout visits. I mean, of course, he won a soft spot in my heart for visiting a nice NW Shenandoah division layout. So that was. But he does good content. He's interesting. He really needs to stay off the tracks, though. You'd think he'd get tired of getting run over by the train.
Yeah, I do like his video intros there. He does a good job with those.
Yeah. Very, very entertaining content, and he has good content, and they're a good length of content. There's been some decent video. I mean, we're starting to get into the hobby season again, but there's been some good content. I'm excited about what's happening with some of the members here. Traymasters TV's got some good stuff coming up that I'm excited about. This is going to be hopefully an exciting season of railroading.
Well, we got some new content coming up too. So
is that right?
Yeah. I won't mention no names.
I might have heard something about that in passing.
Yeah.
But you know how rovers are.
Yeah, well, they'll find out in December because I'll make an announcement on it in December. So keep them in suspense for at least one more month. How you doing, Curtis?
Curtis, where you at, buddy?
Yeah, he's sitting over here.
I know what I see.
Yeah, hopefully YouTube's got that fixed, AJ. Last week, boy, that buffering was terrible. So hopefully people went back and watched the recorded show. I went back and kind of thumbed through it. I didn't see it buffering all that much in the recorded show. So
no, it wasn't a problem with your sending it out, but we just don't have a lot of control. We don't have any control over YouTube.
No.
So.
Well, I noticed when I click on videos, when I'm just kind of cruising around, they're starting to start up a whole lot quicker than what they were last week. It was taking a video a while to start.
But I expected this stuff to be. I expected this to be a somewhat rough transition to get everybody off of Hangouts on Air over to live, and it has been less than perfect. Could have been worse, less than perfect, but it's it should be getting to a point. We'll see, but it should be getting to a point where it's stabilizing. They've had enough time to work out the kinks. We have worked out most of the kinks, or you have done your due diligence, worked out most of the kinks, but
You were the one that helped me do this. If it wasn't for you, I'd still be stumbling over
it. This is a group. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
The whole point. Model railroading is a team sport. Does it? You wouldn't think so initially, but it is a team sport.
Yeah, we got Dwight in here now. Mark just come in.
Boy, just anybody join the chat, can't they? Hey, boys.
Yeah, Mark's over going, Johnny, don't keep us in suspense. You know I'm going to do it, Mark. Who knows? It might have something to do with SP. Just to egg him on a little more.
Oh, ATSF. Yeah.
Oh, ATSF. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Show dedicated to the ATSF. I can see that happening.
Yeah, but that got him even more when I just said SP. The SP with the war bonnet paint job.
SP had a cool paint job though. I like those Black Widows. That's a cool paint scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, we've we'll let everybody know in the chat to be sure to put your questions up so that we can see what we can do, try and answer them or point you in the right direction. So doesn't matter if you're a beginner or an expert, or if you think you're an expert. Post those questions.
Yep, we'll answer it and help you figure out 3 new questions to replace that one.
Yeah. I did something the other night that I normally don't do, but I was looking at a video and it was talking about this guy that he's a guitar virtuoso and he's really good. But it turns out he's when I started playing his videos, he's a motivational speaker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I still watched it, I wanted to see what he did with the guitar. He was doing some really good stuff. I mean, this guy was good. But anyway, he did say something that's kind of interesting. It's kind of like, all of us building on our layouts, and we kind of hit challenge or whatever. Just kind of sit back, take a look at it, and ask the question, what if I do it this way? What would happen?
Yeah, I tend to challenge myself on things all the time about. I mean, even things I've already, done and am fairly committed to. What if I had done it that way? And kind of one of the joys of building, sectional or modular, or however you want to say this, is that if I really decided I had a wild enough hair, I could pull a module out and replace it. So I do think about that sometimes.
Yeah.
And so far, I haven't decided with anything was worth tearing something out for. And I'm not a bit afraid.
Well, no, I mean, even if you're just building something, you kind of get stumped a little bit. Just sit there and look at it and go, all right, what if I do it this way instead of that way? It's Alan, CSX fan. How you doing tonight? Quick question for you. Aren't you in the Carolinas somewheres?
If you are, do you go down to Raleigh? Boy, you missing out. I wish I could go. But with Nashville or with Atlanta in the very near future, I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, you got a Raleigh show if that's not too far for you coming up this weekend. We got one of their guys named Ken Anderson. He won't have any modules there, but he will be there at the show. I believe they're going to be the biggest module layout set up there. What do you say they have? About 1,800 square feet?
It's like no, it's like 15,000 square feet. It's huge. It's huge.
Oh, I'm looking at the chat.
Oh,
I guess I got myself in a little hot water here. Otto said, asked
oh.
that question once and ended up getting married.
Yeah. There's many of us got ourselves in that boat.
Oh, yeah.
What if I do it this way?
Yeah. Are you part of the sipping and switching, Alan?
Oh yeah, he says he'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's man. That you've got anybody else that's watching, you've got to go check out YouTube videos for those guys. North Carolina Sipping and Switching Society or something like that.
Yeah, sipping and switching society.
Yeah, I know it's super. I just can't remember for North Carolina or whatever, but I think it's just North Carolina Sipping and Switching. They have really got. I mean, they do great work anyway. The modules look good. A lot of modules are a little too. A lot of modular railroads are awful toy-ish for my taste. I like Freebo, but and the sipping and switching modules, those guys really know what they're doing.
Yeah. What day are you going to be there, Alan? Because I'm not sure if I'm going to come or not. That's about 5.5 hours for me. I looked it up.
I wish I could, man, but with coming down to Atlanta next weekend, it was just too much.
Oh, is that the week next weekend?
Well, I think so. It'd be cool. The
Might
week.
not be. Yeah, it is too.
That's what I said. So I got that trip.
Yeah, a week from this Saturday.
Yeah, it's just too much back to back for me. So.
Yeah, Alan said that they have a Yahoo group too.
Oh, I need to go join that then. I like, there's still a relevance for Yahoo groups. I don't know what's going to happen now that Verizon, of all people, bought Yahoo, but like the JMRI Yahoo group is the de facto place for good JMRI info. If you care about JMRI, you've got to join the Yahoo group.
Only thing I can tell you, Dwight, is do a refresh because, I mean, Andy's got his camera off, but you see the logo. At least I can.
Oh, my camera's not on?
He said he got a blank. The screen is black.
Oh, did he? Oh, hang on.
I think his wife painted his laptop screen again.
No, it's not rendering any of our videos, including the.
Oh, really? Uh-oh. Let me get over here and see what's going on.
I got full view.
We do here in the Hangout as panelists, but on the YouTube live stream, it is not rendering out any of the videos. And it is staying focused on me.
I don't have you presented or anything.
I know, I see that.
Okay. What am I doing wrong?
Normally, it's Hangouts is what's giving you the problem, not OBS. It's not a streaming issue. It's a Hangouts issue, possibly.
Well, I got it on show panel and...
If you don't care, click on your own avatar down there and self-focus.
Nope. It just came up YouTube Mall Builders.
Because it's staying focused on me right now. Then okay, yep, but it is just showing your avatar.
Yeah, my camera's working.
You need to refresh the Hangout. That means everybody will lose it for a second, except for us on the panel here. Sorry.
Right. Y'all gonna lose the video for a second while I refresh, but I will be back. Yeah. I think I'll be back.
You try to be back. You gotta be gone to be back.
Yeah, but I haven't been gone yet.
I know it.
It's not refreshing. Oh man, I don't have to restart all of this up again.
You shouldn't have to restart OBS or anything. You should just Hangout. Now OBS is still going to broadcast you. Everybody else will still get your audio and everything while you're
Yeah, I'm
home.
just going to have to kill it this other way and then come back through the posting link.
Yeah. Ta-da!
Alrighty, now I see Andy. Let me get back over here to YouTube and see what's going on here. Showing a blank now. I'm back up.
Yep, it's working now.
Yep.
Good to go. Sorry, fellas. And that's just Hangouts not working right. It's just imperfect.
Just a new experience, that's all.
Yeah.
All
right, so now we're back to a live show and everybody can see everybody. Dwight said that he's going to a show this weekend and actually taking a class on fine-tuning rolling stock. So,
okay, we expect a full report. You can come back and teach us.
Alan's asking, and he would be asking this right now. Have any of you made a lift out or a folding gate? I have 2 doors in my layout room at home. Well, I got you beat, Alan. I've got to do 3. John, the fellow that I'm helping build his layout, I'm spanning a window, which actually is not going to be well, I guess you'll say it's a lift out. That section of the layout, I've got it to where it will come out. What I did was took a 2x4, set the saw at a 45-degree angle, and ripped it down the center. And I mounted half of that 2x4. I got 2 of them, the width I needed. And each one I ripped on a 45-degree angle down the center. I took one, mounted on each end of the stationary layout, and the other half of it I mounted to the part I want to take out. That way it sits down in there and they just lock themselves in. And I'll put a nail in there, drill a hole through it, stick a nail in there just to lock it in place. That should hold it just fine. So if his dad ever has to work on the window, all he's got to do is pull that nail out and just slide that section out. Then we do have a storage room. That one is a lift out, but I did the same thing. 2x4 cut on 45-degree angle. Now, to go into the layout, that was intended to be a lift out, but to make it easy for John and all, I will make it a fold down gate. I just haven't done it yet. Hadn't got to that point. Not looking forward to it. What I plan on doing though is one end I have the hinge on it at the bottom so it'll fold down. But the other end you will have to put probably a 5 or no more than 10-degree angle on the part that swings. So as you bring it up, it'll match up with the layout and not bind and hang up with you. Now Ralph here has already got a swinging door, and I'll let him talk about that and how he did his.
Yeah, one of the best I've ever seen. Ralph's is exceptional.
Yeah.
Before I go to that, just to add to yours, you say at the window one, you're going to put a nail in so that it's like an emergency removal, right? You remove the nail and it comes out. Just so that you can disguise the nail, you drill a hole to fit a dowel of some sort, and you make the dowel a tree.
Oh, this is up under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you can't. It was from the top.
Yeah, no, you can't see that part at all. The split 2x4.
Okay.
It's up under it. It's built into that part of that module. So all you have to do is just reach up under it and pull the nail out.
Oh, fair enough.
I'll bend it just a little bit near the head so it won't go all the way in. You have to kind of pick at it to get it.
Right.
I'll bend it just a little bit so that way you can reach up on there, grab it, pull it out. That's something that'll hardly be moved anyway. And the storage door, I did the same thing because the wall, he's in an attic room, so the wall is only 4 feet tall. Top of the layout is 10 inches below the ceiling, so you ain't got a whole lot of room to move. So I made that one where it just slides out. Do it the same way as the window, because the ceiling follows the angle of the roof line, and the walls are only 4 feet tall in that room. So
okay. Well, the way I did mine, I built my layout is a 2-foot shelf around the wall, and when I got to the doorway, I just racked my brain trying to figure out how the hell am I going to make this so that I can still run my trains across. So I did it almost like a module that fit between the two ends that come to either side of the door, and it's basically a hollow box. I used a piano hinge on one side, and on the other side where the handle is, it's not a straight cut. It's about a 30-degree angle so that it overlaps the side panel. That way, when you pull it out, it doesn't get stuck on itself. And obviously, the piano hinge keeps it fairly straight. I also put a couple of guide bars so that when it comes when you go to close it, the bar on the bridge touches the bar on the layout, and it guides it up into position. It's on a bit of an angle. So obviously in the hinge there's going to be some sag. There's no way of getting away from it.
no.
So I allowed for that sag and these two pieces that mesh together that bring it up to the height again. So once I had it in place, then I laid my track across, and because I knew I was going to have to cut my track or keep it aligned at the openings, at the hinge side and at the handle side, I took some PC board, the printed circuit board, and I screwed it and glued it in place across the gap. Then I brought my track up to that, and where the PC board was, I took the ties off and soldered them to the PC board right across at both sides. And when I had all that done, I put the gap down the middle of the PC board so I didn't have a short. And I took my Dremel tool and I cut along the gap of the door across the PC board, and it meshes every time. And just to make sure I didn't have any derailments, you just sort of bevel the edges of the rail so that if a wheel hits it on the wrong angle, it puts it back on track again. Plus I put guardrail as well. Just so it wouldn't derail.
So your rails cut at an angle. The bats cut across the substructure. So there's an angle to them, so they can open up. And I do the same to that question. That I do the same thing. Actually, at every rail joint, I take a file and just kind of kiss the top edge of the rail. So I just take any sharp point off the top, even at rail joints. I do that at every rail joint.
Okay, I'm going to try and find a picture of the PC board across the.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do, John's like what you did there. Lay a PC board down, lay a track across it, solder it down, and then take a razor saw and just cut both at the same time. So that way, when you drop it down, bring it back, it all lines right back up.
It was the best thing I ever did.
Now I will use PC board ties. I have a lift out that goes across into the staging across the hall. Keep this quiet so the wife can't hear. Across the hall in the other room, and I'm going to use PC board ties. And it's hidden. I could use an entire piece of PC board, I suppose.
Well, the reason why I use the full piece is so that I could anchor it. You can't really anchor PC ties.
True. So how about the cosmetics of it? Because the thing, I mean, structurally yours is exceptional. The cosmetics of yours is the best I've ever seen. I've never seen one that was hidden so well. That rock cut is just unbelievable. How would you hide that PC board tie? In my case, it's not
a little bit of gravel. Just put some glue on it. Spread a little gravel over it.
So there's a screen share. That's what the gate looks like. So in this area and over there, I have the PC board that I ran the track across. And there's the two boards that sort of help guide it into the proper height and position. And then there's a latch to hold it closed. Well, when that latch is closed like that, right in this area of the door, I've got a regular light switch that controls the power to my track, and 8 inches on either side of the opening. When I open it up, it shuts the power down. So when I unlock it, there's no power on the bridge. There's no power on 8 inches on either side of the bridge. So all this Keep Alive stuff I cannot run on my layout, because the Keep Alive goes for almost a minute in some cases. So there's one gap there in the rock work.
That's the one that, with a little bit of vegetation close to it, will just look like a crevice in the rock. It hides so well.
Yeah. Now the rocks are not painted in this picture, and then here's the other one, which I was going to do the same thing, but it was starting to get too tedious, and I was running out of room.
Real quick, let me interrupt. Hopefully I'm saying this right, but Arizona Train Granny, yeah, it's AC. If you take your cursor, go up to your viewing screen where you see the pause and the speaker, you'll see a live button. It says live on it. Click that. Hopefully I'll put you back in real time, and you should not be buffering.
Well, try to stay live actually cause a lot of buffers. If you're having a lot of buffering, you can pull the slider back just a touch. It will put you out of sync with real time, but it will help any buffering issues if your internet connection, needs a little extra helping hand.
Yeah, so far I'm not dropping too many frames. I'm at 0.3%, 146.
And you can also lower the quality of the video too. He may need to if his internet is struggling to keep up. You could click on there's a little gear, and in the gear you could set in your video window lower right hand corner you could click on quality, and you could set that up to HD or pull that down to 480 or 360, and that will help you if your internet connection is struggling.
Or 720.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would prefer to run it at HD, but and even a fast internet connection, there's a lot more details involved in making this work well.
Because even on my end, I'll look at this video here that I got with the chat, and I see it's lagging. I just hit the live where it says live. I hit that, and it brings me right back up to full real time.
Yep.
Yep. All right, Ralph, sorry about that. I just wanted to try and get them back in the video.
I think, by the way, speaking of Keep Alives, I think I have a way to deal with the Keep Alive issue and still be able to cut the power, force it to cut. Now, what I'm going to do is put an optical sensor as I'm approaching that lift out headed to staging, and if something crosses that sensor, it tells the DCC system to do an all stop. That's fairly simple in JMRI to just set that sensor. If something trips it while the gate is up or while the lift out is out, it will just stop everything on the layout.
Kind of like an emergency stop.
That's exactly it.
Shuts your whole layout down.
Yeah, I mean, it shuts all the trades on the equipment, stops every trade where they are. I've thought about how to stop particular trades, and eventually, anytime soon, then you could stop just the particular trade. But for my sake right now, and for the safety of $500 locomotives, I am going to put an all-stop optical sensor because that's fairly trivial to it.
Yeah.
Couldn't you do that to operate a district?
Pardon me?
Couldn't you do that to operate a district?
To block, to shut down just one district?
At one district and not shut the whole layout down.
Well, I would have to think about that. Off the top of my head, see, what you're actually doing is not actually shutting any power or anything. You're just telling the trades to stop where they are. That's really easy to do in the logic of JMRI. Actually shutting a booster off would now there are ways to do it. For example, you could use an aux box or something to do it. However, if you take a booster down, depending on how your layout's wired, you still would probably, the keep alive would still keep running because all you did is shut off the signaling, the control and the power and all that stuff. What you've got to do is actively send a signal to the locomotive, and the locomotive stops itself. With RFID, again, you could be specific and say, just stop this one. But
yeah,
real quick, Alan, on the PCB board, you could go to Radio Shack. Hopefully they still sell them there. They've getting to where they're selling more cell phones than anything. Or you can go online and order it. Mauser Electronics or any electronics online will have that.
eBay from China, $2.
Yeah. Actually, you can actually order it if you're going to buy it that way from China. You can buy it the thickness you want to be equal to your tie height.
Oh yeah, I didn't know you could get different thicknesses.
Yep. That's the nice part about it.
I've also seen in the Mara hobbies with the bridge cut off. I've seen I think the guy used a tortoise, and then the metal rod would lift up and try to catch the coupler, stop it. Again, I didn't think that was maybe a good idea, though. It might be a way to keep those, even if the kind of keep alive kept going.
It depends on your equipment whether that would be a problem. If you were backing a trade-in and it just stops it and the locomotive keeps barreling forward, you're gonna push some cars up, around. I don't know. Whatever stops them from taking a 5 or 6 foot tumble to the floor is probably a good idea. So
it'd be better to wear the wheels and track out than have that $500 engine hit the floor.
Absolutely.
I even thought of using a tortoise machine so that you'd have one of these rods pop up right in the middle of the rail.
That's what he was trying to do. That's what he did. It was in, I don't know, not last month, though, the month before, I think, the MRA magazine. So for me, I just have it. I don't have any of that. It's conventional control. I just have a push button, and it's about a mile down the track. It's right by the block where the block actually exits.
What I'm going to put a contact switch, so when you set the, actually I'm going to put a reed switch because I'm going to use magnets to hold my lift out in place. So when I set the lift out in, it will pull that reed switch, which would allow power through it. And then I'll have an optical sensor. And if it happens that the bridge is out and the optical sensor trips, then you get an emergency shut off.
Yeah. On my, another thing is also on the other side of the bridge, it's not in yet, though, it'll be all controlled probably by relays. Though when the bridge is not aligned, it will not let the switch line towards the bridge. It will automatically line all the way back to the main.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do that too. Again, another trick you can do with JMRI is to But I do want to be able to run right up close to the lift out. If the lift out's out, I still want to be able to pull a train down that track because there's from the turnout here down to there, I could fit a train in and stop it even with the lift out. So
there's a better picture of that PC board across the joint.
So you're just gonna pile ballast up as if the ballast is heavier there.
Yeah. How you doing, Big Bill?
Sorry, Johnny.
I also have my bridge too on screen share.
Yeah, Big Bill's asking, has anyone, excuse me, has anyone installed the rail crew on-off coupler from Rapido?
No, I've looked at some videos on it. There's some good YouTube videos talking about it, but I don't use KD, but it is a really good product. I really like the Rapido turnout masks. Their turnout machines. It's in that same rail crew, product line. The turnout mechanisms are solenoid actuators, so they're not slow motion. So I won't run those. But I've ordered this. Actually, I have some here somewhere. Those Rapido signal masks because they are signal or turnout targets that actuate, that turn. So I got some of those. I'm gonna hook them to my servos.
You went ahead and just soldered that full length of track too, didn't you, Ralph?
What do you mean?
On
across the PC?
Yeah, on the PC board, the full length.
Full length solder.
On both sides.
Yep. That way there's no moving.
Yeah.
How long have you had that done for?
2 years.
Yeah, I figured it'd been a little while.
Never had any issues.
Oh, I wouldn't expect you would. That's as well built. Like I said, I don't give my praise freely. That's as well built as any I've seen.
Well, AJ's got something here. He said open the gate lift out should activate a derail so as to safely, in parentheses, derail a train that enters the depowered safety zone.
I'm sold on that. Thank you, AJ. That is the way to do that. I like that much better than emergency shutdown. I need derails there actually anyway, or close to there anyway. And I'm going to use the old school derails, not the modern haze styles, which I have seen people automate those. But the old school derails were just a single point, not 2 points, but a single point on the outside rail that just pitched the cars off on the ground. That's the perfect way to do that.
Yeah, but unfortunately, with electric trains that we have, the engine will just keep on plugging away, and you could eventually put something still on the ground.
Well, if you put it back some distance from it,
to get it shut right down like you suggest is a better idea.
Yeah, that was my original plan, was to do that. So maybe what a person should do is and I'm thinking this out in real time, but maybe what a person do is use kind of a combination of both. Put the derail in place, and then put an optical sensor 8 or 10 inches away from that derail. If it throws the derail and the train goes off a little bit, great, no problem. Everybody else still keeps operating their trains through the layout as normal. If it happens to hit that optical sensor, it does the emergency shutdown. So there's nothing extra involved. You only have the one. You only have the one signal, because what you do is every single time the bridge was open, it would flip that derail, obviously. I like that. That's a good idea. Thank you, AJ.
Yeah.
That's just interesting.
Probably put the derailleur, you don't want it towards the fascia.
Well, my lift out, the track going out to the lift out is all the way back against the wall. It goes back through a styrofoam cut, and it's hidden. So it's an ideal place for that. And there's a turnout back there, a hidden turnout back there, with a hidden helper pocket. So for that matter, if I could figure out how to make that hidden turnout not throw all the way, so that it just threw halfway. Anytime the bridge was open, just throw that turnout halfway. That derail the train.
Yeah, it would derail it though. You don't want it hitting the helper engine in the pocket.
Yeah, there will be times that the locomotive will be in that pocket.
So what you do there is put a stub switch.
Yeah, I've never built a stub switch. I've always wanted to build a stub switch.
And it's going to go to nowhere, but it'll derail your train.
Yeah, then you could take that stub and push it off to the left a little bit, where the helper pocket, the hidden pocket's on the right. Push it to the left, there'd be no chance of it, piling into that helper locomotive, which has to be a brass articulated. That's going to be an expensive locomotive anyway. So I like this. Is a good discussion. This really interesting ways to do this. Keep alives are critical part of my electrical architecture too, because I'm putting the wires on the bottoms of the frogs, but I'm not putting frog juicers on it or anything. If I ever need to go back and do that, I will. But with keep alives, I think I buy keep alives cheaper.
You don't have to put frog juicers. You're using what the hell do they call them? I'm using tortoise. You're using servos. You can operate a switch with that servo at the same time to reverse your frog polarity.
I could. That's true. I could.
No,
but
just like the tortoise does.
With keep alives, it's it's just not necessary to do. But I am putting the wire. I'm hanging the wire to the road bed, so if I ever do need it, I can go back and put it. But I don't think with keep alives, I'm just not going to wire complicated track work.
How would you make like a home made one to on a conventional locomotive just to let the power like run out?
They have a circuit diagram on MRH forums, Motor Railroad Hobbyist forums. It's just a capacitor and a diode and possibly a resistor. It's a couple, 3 or 4 components.
What's the title? What's the title under it?
DIY, probably something like DIY, keep alive, DIY. I'll go look that up here in a minute or something. I've read about it on there. It's in that same, line of articles on like the DIY Arduino turnout or accessory decoders and stuff.
If you do the Google search that they have online there,
yes, you'll find it.
All you have to do is put in one word.
Yep, you'll find it.
And it'll find it for you. So
that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I'm sure that's how I found it. So actually, that's what I was going to do for you. That's.
I tell you what, let's start a little argument here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know how I hate being contrite. That's horrible.
Curtis with C&L lines. Keep alive is a lazy man's way of not taking care of their track.
I agree.
Wow. You didn't get much argument out of him.
Yeah.
I agree. And that's one of the side pluses for me is that I won't have to clean track as much. I mean, you still can't get away with not doing it at all, but because of occupancy detection and other things. Tell you what, I would go dead rail if I could.
I'm just going to suggest then you might as well go dead rail.
Well, I know, but then how do you do occupancy detection with dead rail? So if I run a narrow gauge railroad, I would do that, or if I run an unsignaled railroad, I would do dead rail. Unquestionably, that's what I would do.
All right, tell you what, Andy.
You would use the, I think it's called the Angstranx company's signal boards. They're like a sensor kind of thing. You'd probably use that or a latch read switch. You'd or use that or the sensor. I forget the company's name though. They make a product. There's a guy I follow on the blog.
You just can't tell if something is in a block. You can tell if something has passed a certain point, like with an optical sensor, but you can't tell if cars are in a block. You just can't proper occupancy detection of power rails.
All right, Andy.
Sir.
Real fast, because dead rail's kind of a new thing. I'm sure not everybody has heard about it. So, real quick explanation of what a dead rail is.
It's simple. You just don't power the rails. Hence, they call it a dead rail, and you put a battery in the locomotive, and you send whatever control you want to directly to the locomotive. Tab Valley has a system that actually uses your DCC equipment. It's wireless DCC, and it's relatively cheap for, I don't know, $70 for the transmitter or something like that, $60 for the transmitter, and $20 the locomotive, give or take. You could convert them to wireless DCC and then throw $15 worth of batteries in the tender. And my locomotives are big enough I could. A year ago, said I was. I just could not find a way to handle the signaling problems. Still don't know how to do it. The signaling part.
Infrared doesn't have to be in the track.
Yeah, boy, you have to have a lot of doggone sensors on a curvy railroad, though. It's just
all it has to do is go across the track. Doesn't have to follow the track.
No, and you can tell when a train passes a certain point.
All right, Alan, you have a good night. We'll catch you later. He said thanks for the lift out ideas. He is a working man, so he has to go to bed so he can get up and go to work, pay our Social Security. Thank you, Alan.
I got to work tomorrow too, but got Alan.
You don't count.
The system I'm thinking of is I'm putting it in the message bar here on the Hangout.
All right.
Link. Good. I'm going to put two links up to the airlock. In it.
I mean, you could do a part of what we're talking about. You can tell when a train passes a point, and you can satisfy the scenic value of signals. But let's say you split a train in half. That's not uncommon at all. This is mountain railroading. This is helper districts. If a helper is not available, you split the train. So if you leave half of your train at the foot of the hill and take the other half to the top, you would get a clear signal, and a passenger train would run into the tail end of that bottom half of the cut.
Not necessarily.
It depends on where you left them.
Yeah.
You need more than one sensor in an area.
Oh yeah, you'd have to have a bunch, and they're not expensive, but you got to hide them.
You hide them between the rails, between the ties.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, go check the feed again, please.
Yeah, I just did after when I see that Dwight said that. Mine's working good. I was going to say that to him. Let's me see about the video. Everybody has their video turned off right now, so I think that may be what he's talking about. But just a second, we'll find that out. See if mine catches up. I'm really picky about my video's fine. I'm real picky about my track work, of course, you guys know. And so hiding infrared sensors in there is I just don't know if I could. You could get them pretty small and put them just on the side of the inside edge of one rail. I could do it that way, but occupancy detection with by using current detection is just so. I mean, it's reliable. It's you got to put resistors on all the wheel sets. So I mean, it's not easy either. There's not an easy way.
Take a look at that. The link that Newcastle put in there. You go down a little bit, and you'll see that they have the sensor on about a 45-degree angle facing each other. So the light actually bounces off the bottom of the car into the receiver.
Right, you get a little bit of distance that way. So, and for staging yards, this is absolutely one of the ways I'm going to do it, because I don't just want to detect that a train is there, but I want to tell when a train has reached, the end point of the stub end staging, so I can stop a train. So I'm all for these types of sensors.
Kind of get back a little bit. AJ just posted Neil, the editor's column in the December issue of Mile Railroader, called to keep alive the next possible big game changer. Universal usage would mean that frogs and points rails could be unpowered, thus ending stalling and electrical shorts.
Yep, that's why I'm not wiring any of my I'm putting the wires on there right now, but I am not worried about feeding any of the turnouts or any of the complicated track work between turnouts or frogs. I don't need to.
John, who was it that made the comment about being lazy? Randy?
No.
Yeah.
Curtis.
That's exactly right.
Curtis.
If you wire it properly, and if it's an issue of you don't know how to wire it, there's all kinds of information.
Sure.
Especially on YouTube. I mean, it's easy to do. Most of these companies like Tortoise, they tell you how to wire the frog, and there's no chance of a short unless your switches are bad.
But Keep Alive solves so many other problems. They ensure that you have consistent sound even if you hit a little dirty spot. They fix so many other problems that are secondary, and compared to things like, I mean, especially compared to frog juicers. But now, if you put a switch in a servo, that's going to be a little bit tricky to get the weight and power distribution right, to not put too much power onto a point and break them off of my headlight track. So I would have to use a solid state switch, a non-contact like a reed switch, to do that. So there's time and labor and expense in doing that. And current keepers solve that problem, solve the expense of dealing with any extra parts, and they solve all these other problems too. It's just such a plus, and it's the closest thing to dead rail that you could do while still having all the value of an operating signal system. So it's like having battery power. It's just a battery that only lasts 13 seconds. So you're keeping it charged through the rails all the time. I don't know. I'm pretty excited about dead rail in general. Again, if I modeled an unsignaled railroad, I would go dead rail.
Yeah, from my understanding, they started doing that over in Europe. I mean, we got people here that are doing it some on their layouts also.
Miles does some dead rail.
Most of the guys, the G scale, the garden scales, are battery powered. So you're basically, you don't have to worry about dirty track out there.
Yeah.
Oh, they've been doing dead rail basically using RC remote controls for 20, 25 years.
You could use RC inside too, on the smaller ones.
And we had a fella, you could do that. I was mentioning the wireless DCC, but what Miles is using is a system called SCAB, and it is a direct relationship to the equipment. It is a direct wireless signal. Or there's the Blue Rail system. That's a Bluetooth system that's really good for, and I think it will grow to bigger layouts. But right now, it's my opinion that it's well suited to small layouts.
So what saves the money on the Blue Rail stuff is you don't have to have a commander station.
Yeah, you just take a smartphone.
Yeah, that's why I'm watching it. I think it might be the cheapest way to go, the best way for O scales, because O scale you really have to buy a commander station. If you're not MTH, if you go Lionel, you have to buy pretty much a piece by piece. You have to do, if you want two remotes running conventional mode, you have to have two different conventional the legacy blocks, the big boxes, the man station. You have to have two.
Why wouldn't you just go DCC so you could do JMRI?
Yeah, though I'm running AC.
Yeah, JMRI. Well, okay, so you can't do DCC, but I don't know much about that.
The only other thing is DCC, and I've had it, though I could never. I needed a repair, and I couldn't get a hold of MTH at one time, and I gave up after a couple times.
You can do like a lot of the two-rail guys do and remotor all your equipment or re-electrify. I don't know if the motors, I'm assuming the motors are AC motors, they're different.
I already have everything wired up. It'd be totally rewiring the whole layout.
Yeah, no, I would just work on getting JMRI to control your AC system. I'm sure there's people, I don't know that there's people doing that, but it seems logical that they would be.
And that's why I'm watching, pretty much watching the Blue Rail. There is a couple people with their own Blue Rail system in O-Gauge. There is. And I've seen people where they wired a separate wire with DC battery into an O-Gauge locomotive with Blue Rail trains. They're bored. So I'm waiting for the see if they come out with their O-scale board. And then I could have the Blue Rail system. I can control my HO trains and my O-Gauge trains.
How many trains do you run at one time?
By myself, with a group.
Sure.
Usually two, because the block control, I usually run 2 trains. I run as a passenger, operator, and dispatcher, and then I run another 2 guys run as conductor and engineer.
So Bluetooth works for that use pretty well, but you know, if I'm running 6 or 7 trains, a couple of those being automated, like the passenger train, that Bluetooth just doesn't hold up to that demand. I don't think it does. It doesn't yet, anyway. Let's say that. It will. I have all the faith in the world in it. I talked to the fellow that's building that thing at the NMRA National this year, and I said, I got to give you props. It's an incredible system. It's right up my alley as a technology guy. I think it's great. There's just no way I could use it. He said, I agree. I get it. It's no way. He said, but my dream is to get it to a point where you could, but we're several years away from that being viable.
Yeah. I'm watching the sound. Also, I'm hoping they get better on their sound.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me, and the reason that I don't want to go to dead rail in the S-Cab or any of the other systems. But with the wireless DCC system that Tam Valley has, not only is it economical, but all it does is separate how the signal gets to the train. So you detach the wires from the track, you put that wireless receiver in there, and you're still running a Logue sound decoder or TCS decoder or Tsunami 2, whatever you're running, you've got sound.
Yeah, remember we were talking about putting that in a O-Gauge engine. I've kept that on my head. I'm just looking at other stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm always looking at 10 different solutions. Just for right now, I've opted. I've built my little DCC system. I got it running last week. I'm just going that way, but I do intend to do as I put new decoders and stuff. Even these awesome Broadway Limited locomotives that I love, I am going to redecoder them. I'm just not that happy with the decoders that are in there. But I am going to tear into them and put a current keeper. But I'm going to build my own off from that plan.
Yeah.
AJ, that's perfect, buddy. He said he's going to has a red caboose Jeep 9 O-Scout 2 rail, and he's dead railing that thing. That is a perfect locomotive to pack some batteries into. And you could get cell phone batteries or the old cordless phone batteries and just pack a few of those suckers in there. Or actually, the batteries I think I would use are
out of a cell phone.
These, well, I like if you're doing O-Scale 2 rail or something, these 18650 batteries that are really common. They're used in drones and stuff like that. They're also essentially the batteries that were in some of the early generation Teslas and the base of the design that Elon Musk used for the Tesla. Now there's 20,000 of them in the or whatever, a lot in the in the chassis of a Tesla, but it's just a slightly modified version of this 18650. These things have a lot of power for what they are, and I bet you if you put say 6 of these in a Jeep 9 in the top of a Jeep 9 or something, a heck of a runtime.
I've also looked at Androids before. I've looked at different stuff. I'm just looking at different stuff of what I could do in the future for my control my railroad. So right now I'm just running by a push button, pretty much in a plug box, just to get running with my conventional control locomotives.
But if I was going to go truly dead rail at O-Scale myself personally, I would put an Arduino with a wireless receiver in each locomotive. If I was doing O scale or O scale narrow gauge or something, where the equipment was large enough that you could, that you could put that kind of equipment, you could use an Arduino Nano. It's about the size of a postage stamp, a little larger than a postage stamp, and get a wireless serial receiver on that bad boy. You could, you could build out a completely wireless system and you can do Bluetooth even, but you could build that out for 20 bucks, 30 bucks.
I'm sending you another thing. Here's somebody who's running Android with O gauge. It was conventional control, though. It was Android throttle.
I mean, that's what I run, not Android, but I run iPhones, or iPods rather, or right now I've been running my trains with my iPhone. To each their own. I prefer the iPhone to a traditional throttle because of all the accessories or all the functions and throwing turnouts and track diagrams and all that you can get to. Although I would love if I could get a little attachment going on the lightning port on the bottom of my iPhone or my iPod touches that had an actual throttle or a rocker switch or something. That would be awesome.
I've had problems with my storage of my phone.
Yeah. CL Curtis had a little comment here. After all this talk on Dead Rail, Keep Alive, DCC, and all the stuff you need or have to do, I'm going back to DC, LOL.
Okay. There's a big difference in have to do and get to do. Can do. You don't have to do any of the things we just talked about. You can hook wires every 3 feet on your layout. You can do sub buses. You can do occupancy detection signals, dead rail, all kinds of stuff. What you have to do is take DCC and pull 2 wires to the rails. Everything else is just a plus. You should do a little more than that, but that's all you have to do. But you get to do a little bit more than that if you choose to do signaling and turnout control and all this other stuff. But you don't have to do any of this jazz.
Yeah, AJ basically says that, he was DC and he got his hands on a DCC throttle. He said, I've seen the light. I'm not willing to go backwards.
Me either. And sound is the big boy for me. Yeah. Sound. Not only control is awesome, no doubt about it. Control is awesome. The sound is the killer feature for me.
But then you have guys that are so hung up on DC that they say, I'm going to go to DCC and I'm going to have a switch so I can put it back to DC when I want.
Yeah,
that kind of sounds like some organization without starting a firestorm here.
I don't generally like that idea very well. That's just a risk. It
doesn't work because at some point you're gonna forget the switch, and you're gonna blow something for sure.
Yeah, and this stuff's too expensive to take those kind of risks with.
The new decoders, pretty well all of them, have the DC function built into them, and that's not a problem. But running it on a DCC on DC constantly is not good for the decoder.
No, I turned that off on my decoders. I turned off DC support. I went back and turned it on recently so that I could run, so I could hook DC up to my layout when I was just getting this loop running so I could test and work through it. DC was simpler. Yep. But as soon as I got the track running, I went back to DCC. So I've been having a DC power pack around is handy. But using it day in, day out, actually running trains with it for the enjoyment of running trains, no way, man. Give me my DCC.
I don't know why Curtis would say this, Andy. With you, Andy, you can make your own sounds. He.
I got one of those old wood whistles that, whatever that you buy later out here somewhere. I found in a trunk of stuff from when I was a kid, so I could do that. But
I'll bet you every one of us have had one of those things at some point.
Oh, I'm surprised I still had it. It just a box of stuff recently. I dug through. I found an old Tyco. Oh, they were so common. Blue and Parita, not Parita. It's one of those. Whatever. They were really popular little Tyco cars. Everybody wanted those things. I found a couple of those things. I mean, this is from back when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. I hadn't seen this box in, well, it's been a couple years. It's several.
I was about to say something till you said that.
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, I haven't seen that box in 30-some years. So
No, 3 years. That was just yesterday.
I have seen it just a few days ago. That is true. I reset the counter.
Jeez, right over your head, just like a screen door in a submarine, man.
If I had a submarine, I'd have a screen door on it. That wouldn't be a lot of. That wouldn't be very handy.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. AJ said he still got his whistle.
Yeah. I mean, those are commonplace. I'd say people get into the hobby nowadays probably not, but back then I don't know.
Okay, getting back to this DCC. Pardon me. A good entry level is there's 2 of them. NCE is first, the power cap,
No question, the best.
and then Digitrax has a. It's a box with the handle on it called Zephyr.
Zephyr, yeah.
Zephyr Plus now.
But the NCE is still, it's a walk around for that money.
But the difference is the NCE one, it may be walk around, but you cannot unplug it.
No, but with a long enough cord, you can walk around. But having that Zephyr strapped to your,
it's got to be on it. It's got to be on a desk.
No,
The
you
Zephyr
don't.
has to be on a desk.
John's layout, I got a Zephyr for him. It's going to be mounted on the board up under his layout. He's not even going to touch the Zephyr.
Okay.
I've got.
So you're going to use just a utility throttle for him, so no program.
I've got utility throttles, but I can also wire in the radio transmitter utility box, and I could come over with my 402 and run his layout wireless.
But you're starting to get beyond starter level when you do that. And I spec the NCE system I would need for my original plan, as I've said before, was to buy an NCE system. I like NCE quite well. And I bought a Sprague just so I could do some programming and just fell in love with using an iPhone doing it. But I spec the NCE wireless with a few throttles and a booster. Nothing crazy. I don't need 10 amps of power or anything. Just, 5 amps of power, whatever. I was going to drop $1,100-$1,200 buying that system.
Yeah,
and my current DCC costs $17.
Yeah, the Digitrax. I mean, I've got the Empire Super. I mean, the Super Chief Empire Builder, which is 8 amps. But it came with a 402 and all that. I've added the circuit breaker, but it came wireless. Yeah, and I spent less than 600 or right at 600 because I caught it on sale.
How many throttles?
1.
Okay, see, I was thinking, I think I quoted that with 3. I definitely want 3 people to be able to run trades. So I think I quoted it with 3. But
with John's, I could, even without the radio, the Zephyr just stay up under the layout. All I got to do is plug my 402 in to one of the panels.
Yeah.
And run the engine over to a dedicated track, flip a toggle switch that you have to put in to switch from program to, from mainline to program track.
Absolutely.
And I can program his engines right off of my throttle too. So still, I mean, the system he's got is going to work just fine for him, especially when he's just going to be using what we call the utility throttle.
Yeah.
I mean, you can run, I think, 2-3 trains off of it. It's a little bit of a pain, but he only runs 1 train at a time. So, and I'm going to put enough panels around to where all he's got to do is unplug because the train to keep running, walk to the next panel, plug it back in, and he picks right back up.
Sure. Yep. I remember that being awesome. I mean, I remember that, that was a big step forward. Forget wireless. That was a big step forward, but I definitely wanted wireless. Even in this small room, I wanted wireless.
The NCE ProCab can migrate into the larger set. So your ProCab controller then becomes only a controller and not the brains of the system.
Yeah, just a cab. Yeah,
just a cab.
I am an NCE fanboy. I really am. I like that product. I ended up not buying it, but I still would if I thought that was the best thing to do. If I just hadn't fell in love with these little simple things,
I mean, really, when you're talking about the different systems, it's kind of like, well, what are you going to do with it? I mean, it's like buying computers, really. I mean, Digitrack's, one of the plus for it is it's more plug and play than anybody else.
For signaling and stuff, no question. You're right.
Accessories is more plug and play than the other systems. You don't have to do as much setup or anything.
Yeah. But now, if I was going to give somebody advice as to which one to get, I would ask them if they're a member of a club.
Yep.
Or if they have any buddies that have layouts. What system do they run? Because you want to be able to go to your buddy's place and maybe take your controller with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not a necessity. It's not a necessity, but if you've got somebody that's already got the system and you buy the same system, you can lean on him for questions and so on.
Yeah.
And vice versa. But if you're going to buy something different than everybody else has got, you're all alone.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, all right, I've got the 402. It's a duplex. It does radio. It does the infrared. I went to a layout. In fact, I took Andy there when he was here in Atlanta last year. I went to that layout one time for an operating session, and I walked in. I had my throttle in my hand, and the owner was standing there. He saw me come in. So he came over and he asked me, he said, have you updated your throttle yet? I said, no, I didn't know there's an update. And he said, yeah, you need to update it because Digitrack did have a problem with the 402 only. And that is if you had more than one in the system at the same time, it started a big fight. They wouldn't work with each other. They kept fighting each other and canceling each other out. But Digitrack pretty quickly came out with a update on it. Yeah, and it was just a matter of going over to Digitrack, downloading the software fix, and putting it on your cab, which I did. So
you're ahead of me. Mine's a 400, and then I read the other day in one of their newsletters that the 400 and I think it was the UT5. No, it must have been just the 400. They're stopping the support for it.
Yeah, they had a 300 out that they stopped support for that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Mike had one, and it's basically a work throttle. And I plugged it in after I put the Digitrack system up on store layout. And yeah, it was sitting there, so I said, okay, well, I'll just use this, see how it works. Plugged it in. I could not get it to do anything. And Brian come by. He looked, he says, that's not going to work. He said they quit supporting it, and that DC system is new enough that it doesn't even know what you got plugged in. It won't recognize it.
Seriously, they just completely, not only... I mean, I realize you're saying they stopped support for it, but you're saying they quit allowing you to use it.
Yeah, it's a very old throttle, though. I mean, that was one of their, way back in the beginning throttles.
Yeah, okay.
So as they moved on through the years, they made so many improvements that throttle no longer will work with one of the newer systems.
They need to keep, but the 400, I mean, that, that's not... You know, like they're saying they're dropping support for the 400. That's.
I can get it upgraded, but they're going to stop support on that as well.
As long as they give you a path to upgrade, that doesn't hurt my feelings too bad. But if they don't hurt my feelings, I don't have one. But if I had one and they said, yeah, you bought all these throttles and it's worked fine for the last 5 or 6 years, but now we put out an update and now you got to buy new throttles.
No, they didn't say it won't work. It's just they won't support it if you have a problem.
Right. I was reading. I was thinking that with what you were saying, and then as Johnny was saying, you plug it in and it just flat wouldn't work. That bothers me. Them not supporting it anymore from a tech support standpoint. No problem.
It's just like Windows. They stopped supporting XP and all those other ones.
I'm fine with them dropping the tech supported updates for it, but the idea that they wouldn't let you use it anymore gets under my skin.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like the same thing. Whenever Windows comes out, about every third version, there's a lot of hardware that won't work anymore, like printers, stuff like that. Well, throttle's the same thing.
Yeah, but let's say you got, I know, you got a dozen throttles, and I don't know,
one time I updated my Windows, and it turned out, I had changed my printer, I had changed my hard drives. Yeah, it didn't like none of it. Yeah, that's what ticked me off.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, you're almost better to just build a new machine for each ever couple of versions of Windows, because you think about the number of years between releases anyway.
Yeah.
You got 3 years between releases. If you buy a new computer every second or third release, your computers get replaced every 6 or 9 years. That's a long lifespan for a computer these days.
Well, same thing with these digital command systems.
Doggone it, you and common sense, you're killing me, Johnny.
I just waited till you made the right statement.
You know me, I got to think my way through all this stuff. It's not like this was all scripted, okay? Nobody sent me the script for this conversation ahead of time, so I'm having to think my way through it. I did find my beads, by the way, Ralph, that you're the guy who pointed me at those finally after all that time, but I did find my beads, so I will be a well jewelried up model railroader here real soon. I have some pretty necklaces and all that crap.
Are they the right size for you?
They are doggone small, and I'm pretty sure that's the size I was looking for. Was doggone small. These are called 11/0 seed beads, and they're what would you call that?
Iridescent.
Yeah, they're not. They're
the green one.
I wanted to call them iridescent. Yeah, I got a green one and a white, of course, a green and a white.
The white one is, I think it's almost like pearl.
Yes, I would wanted to say like pearlescent or something. Otto says I didn't get the memo. Yeah, I didn't get the script this time. I just got to wing it, boys. They have a certain iridescence to them, but they're somewhat just ever so slightly like semi-translucent. They're awesome. And I thought about, I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to do it. See, on the prototype.
Did I hear right? You said you haven't figured it out yet?
No, there's all kinds of things I haven't figured out just yet. I'm still looking for the meaning of life, too. I ain't got that one yet either. So I think it's 42. My initial review is the meaning of life is 42, but that's from a very trustworthy source. However, so I haven't figured this out in a few ways because, these are beads. They have a hole in them. You could mount them upright, run the easy line through the hole, but that's not prototypical. Also, on the prototype, those insulators are setting on a pin, on a little pin, on a nail, big nail, yeah. So I was thinking about actually running a little pin, which I've actually used on some, like on the back side of nut bolt washer details. On the other side of the material, I've used these pins and cut them off a little bit and run it through.
The E string of a guitar.
E string of a guitar. Okay.
It's stainless steel wire.
Yeah, I was thinking about using these little pins I got, but I like what you're talking about.
You just cut it. Well, you don't even have to cut it to length. You can cut it after you've put the bead on it.
That was I was thinking. Take flush cutters and then just put the easy line across the top and just tack it to the top as I go across.
Exactly right.
Yeah, because that's how the prototype was. Actually, it was kind of, round, run around it or whatever a lot of times. But I just run that easy line and tack it on each one.
Yeah, they the one turn wrap on the glass insulators.
Yep. So which I can't totally recreate that effect.
No.
These two. Listen, I'm pretty.
You don't have to do that,
crazy.
Andy.
I don't
mean,
have
just tacking it on there with super glue is going to be just fine.
Yep. I was thinking about, and I was thinking about maybe using like a context mitt or something so that it would be removable. Because that's, well, I don't know about removable. Oh, that hobby tack.
Hobby tack.
Yeah, that Ralph was talking about. So I could always go back and just rip that easy line off those poles at some point and, probably destroy the easy line, but I could put it back on. It's not that expensive. That easy line's kind of a no-brainer. I bought some magnet wire, and I'll use it for something at some point, but I bought magnet wire thinking I was going to use that across mine, because it has a nice, you can put across each pole, you can put a bend in it, it'll hold that bend so that it has that nice
natural
way, and it stays crisp. What I don't like about thread, a lot of people use thread, and even that there's some kind of thread type that people were talking about that doesn't get fuzzy, but I've just never seen thread that was just great looking. That easy line is perfect.
It is, and you can get it in 2 different weights.
Yeah. And the idea that you could lay your arm across and not hurt it is,
it'll flex with it.
Right. Yep. The videos that they show on the website of that product is just sold me on doing it that way. And I do have places, as much as I've tried, to design in a way that you could always reach in without going across power lines to uncouple or something. There's a few places where you wouldn't uncouple that often necessarily, but there are times when you might have to, and you would have to reach across the power lines. You just would. There's just no good way to get around it perfectly.
I can't believe that you haven't designed around that.
Well, you can't design around everything. On the prototype, there's power lines running down both sides of the railroad here. So I'm doing something unprototypical by removing one run of those and not running the set down the front. I'm running the set down the back. And it bothers me. It keeps me up at night.
I'm pulling your leg, you know that.
And I'm pulling your leg. It don't keep me up at night either. So I'm picky to a point. I'm not insane just yet.
I know that. Close, but I know.
I go as far as I can go and not end up in a straitjacket.
That's like me.
Yeah, I think most of us that
you got to have a little bit of it, otherwise you're not going to be creative, man.
Yep. Push the envelope. I'm trying to push the envelope. I'm trying to go.
So, what's going on, Jason?
Oh, not much.
Did you do a happy dance last night?
I was partying until 3 o'clock in the morning. I went to the one of the Cubs friendly bars in town, and I was there until close.
Did you say a Cubs friendly bar?
Yep.
You have to choose your bar by what
oh yeah,
what fan you are.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You don't want to go to a Cardinal bar.
All right.
But I was at a local sports bar before that, and they are Cardinals fans there. But it's all right. I showed up to that sports bar today for lunch and had lunch, and I was wearing my Cub gear. Store manager says, "What? You turned into a Cub fan?" No, I've been a Cub fan. So yeah.
Surprised you're still not wearing it.
What?
The Cub gear.
He said I've been wearing it for 2 weeks. It's starting to smell. However long they've been in the playoffs, so.
Yep. I'm wearing it still.
There we go. I didn't see the side. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but y'all seen Jason's face when you said that. He's going, do what? He did a double take on the screen, make sure his camera was working.
No, I just brought it up closer.
So how can you tell I'm an SHIT disturber?
All right.
Yeah, Dwight's got down here. Jason, my daughter-in-law, is picking up her World Series shirt on Thanksgiving. About time.
Yeah. I'll probably, I don't know, might get one at one of the sporting good stores in town. See if I can.
It ain't like buying Christmas lights. You just wait till after all this is over, buy it a lot cheaper.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so
ask for it for Christmas.
Back on the railroad.
Yep.
I got something for Ralph if you got an opening.
Go for it.
All right, so I've been building these bridges for a while. I'm filing and sanding and making all kinds of racket, and I've had a real good time doing it. I've got both of them built. I've got them askew. I got all the parts. I've even rounded the outside edges. I got my bolt plates on the top, bent, curved, and everything. All right, so good to go. I got to do some cross bracing on it, but I had to order some plastic to do it because the original material is meant for these cross braces to be every 3 panels, not every 2, but on the picture that I have from the NWs, they're every 2 panels. So, yeah, I mean, guys know I'm not that picky, but I had to do it right this one time. All right, so now it's time to do some paint and weathering, and that's why I want to chime in with you. So, I figure I'll paint it flat black, and then I've got to bring that back from flat black. I've got to bring that back to. Okay, so they're not very old in 1950. They were done in the early 40s or mid 40s. They're not that old, but they're steel. They're out in the world. There needs to be some rust.
Okay.
I've done some rust with powdered effects, with pan pastels, and I've got some AIM too that I use, AIM that I use on my rail. But it's the color that I think that's bothering me the most. And there's some streaking and stuff that's on this steel that bothers me the most. I want those effects. I want it to look like steel, not plastic.
Okay. So first off, don't paint it flat black.
I just bought a can of flat black paint.
And you bought a spray can, right?
I did. I do have my air. Oh, while we're on that, I just bought I bought this today. I got a good deal on it. I bought the little rack for holding my brush, but I've ordered all kinds of various things lately. I still have not ordered the $3 fitting to go to that 1/4-inch hose, so I got to get my airbrush up and running.
Okay. So you can do the flat black. It would have been easier if you did a grimy black.
I tried. I looked for a can of grimy black there. I looked for that, but I just couldn't find it in any color. I went to Hobby Lobby. All they have is the tester model. Well, the Model Masters paint, which
they don't have Tamiya paints.
Not spray. They have
no, not in spray.
Well, and I have some grimy black colors in Vallejo that I like real well, but I don't have
I'm not talking Vallejo. I'm talking I'm talking Tamiya paints.
I don't know if I don't think they have Tamiya, but there's a hobby shop. The hobby shop does. I'll go down there and buy it.
They have military models and everything.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I don't know because I'm in Canada and I don't have a Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, they do. They not a lot. They don't have a lot.
Okay, so if they've got the military and the cars that Tamiya models, then they would most assuredly have the paints to go with it. And my point is, the Tamiya paints you can mix with alcohol, which I do.
Yeah.
Spray it your flat black that you want to do, and then make yourself a 10% wash of white paint.
Oh, okay.
So 10% white and 90% alcohol is what I do. And you got to be careful. If you go and use some other acrylic, the alcohol may turn the acrylic to like a jello. If you do it with Tamiya, you have no problem.
Okay, so I've got to get but I can't use this flat black I have right now, right?
You can.
It'll be okay.
You can use that as your base color.
Sure.
So what you want to do is get the fade on the horizontal surfaces.
Absolutely.
And down near the bottoms of the vertical surfaces. So if you spray it at a 60-degree angle,
okay,
come down at a 60-degree angle. Let me see. I had some bridge stuff here, but I can't find it now.
That makes sense. So you're going down. So you're hitting the
down,
top surface.
Down, if that's the bridge pier or the plate girder.
Yep. Yeah.
You're coming down at about a 60-degree angle.
All right.
So you're going to get the whitewash on the top. You're going to get the whitewash on the flat surface at the bottom.
Sure.
You might get some on the flanges in between on either side. But right underneath that top edge of the horizontal surface, it's going to stay dark.
Right. Yes.
Because this is where the sun's going to bleach that.
Right.
And you've got grime coming down on it as well.
Yeah, they're streaking, even on a relatively new. Heck, they're streaking on steel as it's shipped out to be installed. So I want some of that streaking effect.
A couple of years after being painted, you can actually see the brush strokes, how they fade. Some because it's thicker than others, and the thinner part wears off quicker.
Sure.
But that's another way of painting. But my theory was, you come at a 60-degree angle, you get the horizontal surfaces and part of the vertical surface from about midpoint down.
Right.
Okay.
You're kind of painting a shadow effect. Of course, that's what happens on the prototype from a weathering too. You also get a slightly reinforcement of a shadow.
Yep. So what's going to happen now is once you got that wash on there, you let it dry. And you overcoat it with either a flat, semi-gloss, clear. Okay, and that seals the white fade. So now you can do whatever you want on top of it.
And I can't. And I need to probably get a different dull coat so that I could use like AK Interactive or Big products to try to get that streaking effect.
Well, no, you actually, because you're not going to see the streaks on too much on this because it is new.
Yep.
What you're going to do is, do you have any oil paints in the tube?
Yep.
What colors have you got? Burnt sienna, burnt umber?
Yeah, I got all the commons: burnt sienna, burnt umber.
Okay, those are the two common ones.
Yeah.
And what you want to do is you want to make a wash out of that as well.
Okay.
And
down the rivet, down the bolt or down the rivet.
You load up your brush, and you just let it flow down the crevices.
And that's where they rust, is right around the end of the steel plates where they're riveted on. And so
where the angle iron creates the flanges as well.
Yeah. It captures water right there, so it tends to rust it there.
Well, that's where all the rivets are too.
Yeah.
That holds it together. And then on the top, it's going to be hard to keep it on the top, so you may have to go to a different product there.
I could use my AIM or pan pastels, and I like the pan pastels for rust effects. If it's
they don't
heavy
give you
rust,
the proper rust effect.
yeah, it's too heavy. So it's fine if I want heavy rust because it has a texture, but I don't want a heavy enough rust. Is why I was kind of worried about using the powders.
I wouldn't use the powders.
All right.
Like I try to stay away from them nowadays. And
there's some things I really like powders for because of the texture. Well, okay, and it's just certain things like the sides of rails. I really like the powder on the rail sides because it has a texture that seems like you can see. But
it's not really a texture. It's not what to me a texture is something that's more than the horizontal or vertical surface. You're actually adding to it, and you can get that with hairspray and the powders. If you wanted to get some festering rust in a corner,
yeah,
you take the powder that's most close to burnt sienna or burnt umber,
yeah,
and some hairspray. Just spray it into the cap or something.
Sure.
You dip your brush into the hairspray, then into the powder, and then place it where you want it. And if that's not enough, you go back and do it again and add some more. Let it dry. The hairspray is thick enough to make the powder bunch up and stay three-dimensional.
Yeah. And it may have more structure to it so I've used powders and alcohol. Actually, I've used chalk, just ground up rust-colored chalk and alcohol, make a paste out of it, and that's how I've done like the underbellies of some of the first cars I did were done with a paste of rust-colored chalk. And it's pretty good.
As soon as that alcohol's gone, as soon as that alcohol dries up, you rub that chalk, it's gone.
Yeah, which I went back, I dull coated them, but
all right.
And the dull coat does, like everybody knows, it depletes some of the powder's impact, but it was a fairly strong effect. So it depleting it actually was pretty decent.
If you're going to use dull coat, I always use dull coat as the last step. Now, that said, there are techniques where you may want some gray or white streaks, like calcium deposits or whatever.
Absolutely, I love that effect.
If you run alcohol over dull coat, you'll turn the dull coat white.
Huh. Yeah, I've had that happen when I didn't want it to happen a few times.
Of course.
Yeah.
It always happens when you don't want it to happen.
I know. I have not seen a value in making that happen. But
So AK also makes a product that it's called Streaking Grime.
Yep.
And they have one that's a rust color. They have one that's a gray color.
I have the gray one.
And the gray one may be what you want to do your streaking with on the bridge abutment or the plate girder.
Yeah, I do have the gray one. I want to get streaking rust wood so that I could for my bridge abutments for the piers rather, because even though the bridges are relatively new,
I'm talking still just the steel part.
Right, absolutely, I agree. I have the gray one, so I think I could use that one on these bridges and do a good job with it. I want to buy the rust one but I haven't bought, but not for these bridges. They're too new.
So the one that I have is the gray anyway, is streaking effect, streaking grime for DAK. And the number is MiG 1201. And
mine's AK.
Okay.
Same product though.
I don't have it in AK.
I didn't know I've had it for a little while for making. Well, not that long. I've only been back into this a couple of years, so I've had it for
probably the same stuff. It's for DAK, which is a military term, and don't ask me what it means. I buy these military. They're all military stuff geared to the military guys. I don't even go by the names anymore. I just turn the bottle over and look at what color it is.
Absolutely. They've got it. Those guys. So if you want to know about, the guys that are doing the best weathering out there are the military guys. Period. Nobody's anywhere close.
So that's what I would do. And if you want to do a couple of rust pits.
Yeah, a few spots wouldn't be bad. I've done the oil effect where you put a drop of oil on, put some turpentine in a clean brush and pull it down a little bit. But I think that might be overkill for
with that. Use a fan brush. Don't use a full size brush. Use a fan brush.
Oh, okay. This is I know this is going to be this is way too much for a lot of things. This is my favorite brush for pulling streaks, like on freight cars and stuff. It holds a lot of terp, so I could soften that oil up real well with it. And if I hold it lightly,
with the AK and the ammo,
yeah,
you don't load the brush up with terps.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just for the oil streaking is where I've done that for. I don't know that much about the AK. I've got it.
You got to blot your brush on a paper towel after you dip it in the mineral spirits, before you take it to the model. So it's damp. It's not wet.
Right. And with the straight oil, you got to have a bit of terp to loosen that oil up to get it to flow.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just gotta get it.
You can also do it with the gouaches, which are the watercolor pastes, and use microsol.
Really? Microsol on the watercolor?
Yes, sir.
I looked at that. They had a bunch of those little watercolor tubes on discount tonight. And I was thinking at the Hobby Lobby I was thinking about what I could do with some watercolor. I had seen some people do some stuff with watercolor, and the big argument was you could go back and throw water on it at any time and adjust it. But
once you seal it,
right,
you can't take it off anymore.
Right, but it's not as part, but like if you're working with acrylics, you got to get that right, early on. And some of this stuff, like this structure that I'm working on, I haven't really done any work on. I'm playing with the design of it before I start on it. I'm not good with plastic, and I want to do some good weathering, but I really don't. If I get in with acrylic, because I'm going to have to put a bunch of coats till I figure out what I want to make it look right. I thought if I did that with watercolor, paint some different bricks and stuff, it wouldn't be permanent until I got it right.
Okay. So there's another step you can do once you get your fade done and you've got it sealed. There's the product I use. It's called Winsor Newton.
Yeah.
Artist Gouache, and it's watercolor.
I think that's what I have is Winsor Newton, but I'm not positive.
The Winsor Newton are like some of the German oils that the military guys use. It's very, very fine pigment that's in here.
Yeah.
So when you thin it right down, you don't get that grainy look. So
yeah.
all my work with the gouaches is done with makeup sponges.
Yeah, I got a whole bag of those things.
The trick to using these makeup sponges is to I use window washer or car fluid from my car. I put it in a spray bottle, and when you put it on the sponge, you make sure that it's totally soaked, and then wrap it in a paper towel and squeeze it as hard as you can. Get all that liquid out.
Okay.
So the sponge basically is almost dry. And that's the way you use it with the gouaches. And you can actually paint better than you could do with any of your powders with gouaches.
Huh.
Let me see.
Yeah, so far all I've used the makeup sponges with is powders or with straight alcohol to remove the powders, like on the surface of brick.
Yep.
I made some border out of white, a little bit of gray chalk and alcohol, and made a paste and filled my border joints in, and then let it all set up, and then took a sponge with barely damp with alcohol, just wiped the surface of the brick all off.
Let's see. Let's see. Can you see this? This is this area.
Those fuel lines. Yep.
That's done with the gouaches and the sponge and a little bit of Vallejo paint. I did the Vallejo paint first, Then I did the gouache on top, and I did the Vallejo paint with a sponge. I didn't use a brush or an airbrush.
Huh. So you built a base up and then just laid the gouache over top of the base, so that essentially that whited out color, that dirty color is largely built up with the Vallejo.
Yep.
And then you just gouache over it to kind of blend the edges and kind of.
And then I did a white wash on top of that. The whole engine.
Right. Yeah.
Like this black is like stark black on the real engine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's shiny almost. Yeah. And you just spray over. It's that fuel streaks. And you use that AK for the big ammo for the fuel streaking.
You can use powders if you want, but the trick is to get it to look wet. AK products and ammo have what they call engine grime and fuel spill or fresh fuel.
Yeah.
They're all nice, but what I do is I use basically my oil paints. I get it the color I want by washing it down with terps and so on. And I don't use terps, I use mineral spirits. Some turpentines, some plastics are affected by turpentine.
Well, and some of the factory's paints are removed by mineral spirits, right?
Yeah. All of the AK and ammo products, you use mineral spirits.
Yeah.
But the point is, like you thin it out so that you now have, and I used the gray again around the end of the tank, like I did up by the burn up here.
Yeah.
To get that. Once I've got that done, to make that look wet, I use Future floor polish.
Doggone it.
After it's been sealed, I'll use Future floor polish.
I've got whatever the replacement now that Pledge has it. I've got a bottle of that around. Jim Lincoln had talked about using it for ballast, so I bought a bottle of it. I do not like using it for ballast personally, but I do have a bottle around here that I could use.
Makes your ballast shiny.
Yeah, you'd have to dual coat it. He used it for glue, and a lot of people talked about it, but I don't like that. I don't like using it as an adhesive for ballast.
But your bearing journals and so on, again, I dirty them up as best I can with the grime, basically the colors that are in the truck.
Yeah.
And then put the Future on.
Just take a brush and tack on, put on a little layer. You lay it on its side, let the Future set
on its side. You make sure it stays on its side until it's dry. Otherwise, it'll pool.
Yep. It'll run right off otherwise. So, wow, that's a good. I like the idea of that.
You've all seen this one, so I'm trying to find the truck.
Well, the closest thing I can find, I have a picture somewhere. I gotta go. I need to go look for it. But yeah, you and your headlight track. I know it's flex track. I'm just messing. Track work looks good though, even for flex track.
But you can see how the journals are shiny.
Yeah, man. Would you do that on freight cars too? Since they pack grease on them, especially back in my era, they greased all that stuff a lot.
Yep.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I totally needed something else I had to do to every piece of rolling stock I got. But that's hard to not do that after you've seen that effect. That's so convincing.
And see how that edge is shiny right there?
Yeah, you didn't use Future for that, did you?
No. I used a graphite pencil, an HB pencil.
Oh, that feels like cheating.
So it gives it a metallic look.
Yeah, I've got some graphite sticks that I use on my track work.
Well,
that's perfect for that.
The one pencil that I have, it's an artist pencil. And it's just like a regular pencil. It's HB. And it's got a coating of paint over it to look like, but the whole thing is graphite.
Oh yeah, you talked about that. It doesn't have wood for the.
Right.
Well, I bought these graphite sticks that I could shave them up into a graphite powder. Oh yeah, that's interesting. that'd be easier to apply to a specific area than these things I have, because these this contraption I've got is I got one laying right here somewhere. Well, I say that I seen it just a few minutes ago, and then now that I want to show it to you, I'll never find it. I mean, I, like everybody else, have a perfectly organized workbench. Um, but graphite sticks.
Yep.
Now they're all scratched up for running, but I run them over the rails.
Over the rails, yeah, of course.
And it makes it slightly slick, the rope, which I like, causes you to have to work harder running a trade. To get a trade pulled out and moving, you've got to work a little harder to do that easily. If you lay the even I have a lot of momentum in my equipment. Like if I pull it up to somewhere around 60 scale miles an hour and shut it off, it takes around 20 feet to stop. I mean, around 30 feet. A real world takes around 30 feet to stop, but on the prototype it would. Now down at speed step 5 or below, you can shut it off and you'll stop in an inch or two. It's easy to light up the tender water hatch under the water tower. That's not too hard. But if you're up and moving, it takes a while to stop. But with that graphite, if you throw the power to it and it starts trying to take off quick, even with the momentum, you have to, you've got to keep it, keep your throttle down a little bit when you first start moving, or you'll just set speed.
Yeah.
I love that effect.
Now, there's an old plate girder. That was one of the first attempts I did. That was on my old layout.
Okay, yeah, and the streaking going down the abutments, of course, it's not about the bridges per se, but the abutments, that's the effect I want to get on the abutments that I'm doing, because the abutments have been there a while because they ripped wooden trestles out during the Second World War and replaced them with steel bridges. So the abutments are original, but they won't have rust streaks that are old, but they will have dirt and grime streaks that are old. But now these new bridges are in with the bridge shoes. There will be some rust that needs to run down there, but just a little bit of fresh rust.
Okay, so like I said, this was the first attempt. This was with burnt sienna. So my recommendation was burnt sienna looks too fresh.
Yeah.
You want burnt umber, and it doesn't look orange like this anymore. It looks like real rust.
So what I need though is like a streaking grime effect from the dirt and stuff, because and the rot from old wood trestles that had been there for 50 years. So what would you suggest, or this is my thinking, is to use the streaking grime that I already have and run the streaks down all most of the way down, long streaks of that grime that show the kind of rot of wood and grime and the kind of mossy green.
What type of material?
Just a little bit of rust at the top.
What type of material is the abutment made out of?
Okay, the ones I have ordered for the abutments are plaster. They're from New England Brownstone. You know who they are?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they just make a few unique hydrocal products. I have not found piers. I'm having a very hard time with piers.
Okay, so with the plaster or hydrocal, you're going to have to paint them.
Yep, I figured I would.
And seal them.
Yep.
Before you can do this rust effect on them.
Yep. So should I put just a regular coat of normal paint, or should I try to leach color into them with acrylics or something, and then put a clear coat as the sealant? Either or, I guess. Either
or, I would say.
Okay.
Paint it the base color that you want, and then dirty it up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, of course, is get it and that way I could use multiple acrylics, because these are, mine are cut stone. They are 2 foot by 3 foot in the real world, 2 foot by 3 foot cut stone, rough face cut stone abutments. And New England Brownstone makes a very close approximation to what was here on the prototype. So it's awesome. But the piers are not stacked stone. They are poured concrete. And I have not found a good pier. So for right now, I'm going to cut me some 1/2-inch pink styrofoam, roughly to shape. I'm going to slap some gesso on them and paint them concrete color and stick them under there. And if that works okay, I may do a couple of versions until I get it right, and then maybe even use the styrofoam abutments. I don't know. I would prefer to find a hydrocal abutment, or maybe I'll just keep working with styrofoam until I get it right, and then make me a mold and make me a hydrocal one. I don't know. But the piers have proven very difficult to find. But I'm fascinated with getting into that. I can't wait till my abutments come in, and I've got several hydrocal things to do. So, I mean, I got this kit from Railway Design Associates, and it come with a rather nice. It come with really nice detail parts. The plastic walls are plastic, so but it come with a beautiful hydrocal stack.
Yeah.
Good detail parts. Got that, got a clean out door at the bottom of it and everything. It's it's a good detail part. Those are those the Atlas
Exactly.
piers.
Exactly.
That's the best looking Atlas pier I ever seen.
And if you really wanted to, you could cut the round part off. You can cut it off at this point here.
Sure. Being plastic, I just am not a big fan of plastic.
That's painted with automotive primer and then highlighted.
Yeah, it's automotive primer. Yeah, okay. These poured concrete piers that I've got to build for mine, they are smooth concrete. They are they have a cutaway on one side, on the upstream side, obviously, but on the downstream side, they're just flat back. That's the problem. I can't find that, so I've got to make them. I may even try to make them out of wood or something, but we're going to make them out of styrofoam to begin with. But they're smooth. They're smooth concrete, but the color is quite light. It's even slightly sandy in color. Slightly brown.
Yeah.
So I've got a few different colors of gray and sand and whatever for different things. Like I made the bases of my water tower with a roof sealant paint, which is an oil or an enamel, but it's a flat enamel gray, but it stays wet for a while. So I can dust it with talcum powder and spray it again to build up some concrete texture. That's Gordon Gravitt's method. And it works. It works like a jet, but it's way too gray. It's perfect for the little supports under the water tower, but for these abutments, it's just way too gray. It's just too dark, too gray. But all right, well, I'll show you my success when I get to it. I'll tear
One
it.
of the colors that I was telling, I think it was Ken the other night. There's actually two colors that I use occasionally. Now I can't find the other one. They're both Tamiya colors. One of them is deck tan.
Deck tan. All
and
right.
The other one is called buff. And they make perfect concrete colors that are a little bit on the yellowish side, like you're talking about.
Yeah. Everybody wants to think, and I did too, wants to think concrete is strictly gray, and sometimes it is pretty gray, but about everywhere I see it, it's a lot closer to sand color.
Well, you saw those buildings that Miles did with the paper?
Yeah.
He wrapped the paper around.
Uh-huh.
And it was graphics on paper graphics wrapped around a wooden structure.
Yeah.
There's a website that you can go and get concrete, all kinds of stuff, all different materials. CG graphics, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, I think I have heard of those. I think there's that program too that you could run that would let you that has a whole lot of templates and stuff built into it.
Evans Design.
That one, yeah, that's
what
the
Miles was talking about.
Right.
But you got to pay for that.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Well, depends on how much you want to spend.
So when you call them and say, I want to buy this software, how much is that software? They're like, well, how much you got?
No, I think it ends up being like about $25 or $30.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
If there's only one thing on there that you can actually use, because you don't get a chance to see what's on there, you might see a couple of things.
Oh.
If there's only one thing on there that you can use, then to me, the 20, 25, $30 is a waste of money.
Yeah, I don't want to pay $25 for one texture. I was thinking about buying it anyway, hoping it would have some wallpaper materials that I could print out. I need some 50s, 40s, whatever era wallpaper textures. And I went to Hobby Lobby today in the scrapbooking and dollhouse and some of that stuff sections looking for something texture paper I could use for, or not texture, but patterned paper that I could use for wallpaper for the interiors of the structures. And I just cannot find anything. I tried to scale one down. I took a picture of it on wallpaper and tried to scale it down. That worked for a newspaper. I printed some newspaper out on tissue paper. I took an old newspaper, scaled it at 87th of its original size, and I've got a couple of them, glued to the side of a structure where they pinned the newspapers up by the door. That worked. But for the wallpaper, I haven't had the same level of success. All right, it's about time. We needed somebody to catch up.
Now everybody can hear me. Turn my mic back on. I got a new timekeeper. AJ said it's the witching hour. All right, Newcastle. But anyway, I got a couple comments. I want to go through those, and then I'll bring this to a wrap.
I was busy working on my railroad.
Okay. Well, have AJ as AJ could be the standby timekeeper. Anyway, let's see. Dwight on back in the conversation said, Andy, I bought 2 DCC Specialties PSX circuit breakers tonight from Tony's Trains. So he's moving forward.
Yeah, man, good deal. I'm glad he got his N-scale back up and running, but he's getting it all wired correctly and sorted through those problems. I'm real happy about it. Old Castle. AJ's Old Castle.
Yeah. AJ, just a few minutes ago, posted from dead rail batteries to greasing your paint with floor polish. The episode is a keeper. I think we hit on some pretty good topics tonight.
Solved a few things I was curious about. I was definitely going to ask Ralph about it. I've been thinking about it a few days, but I was just kind of hanging around for a live show to get his take on it.
Yeah. All righty, let's see here. We'll hit the old transition button. And, well, first off, let's get back here and do this. I want to make sure... I want to say thank you to Curtis, AJ, Dwight, Otto, been a few others I think in here. Let me.
Sparky 107, 107.
Yeah, Sparky was in here too. I want to say thank you to all y'all. Alan, CSX fan, was in here earlier.
Mark Donovan.
Mark was in here. Big Bill, South Brooklyn Railroad was in
boss
here.
Is watching.
Huh?
Yeah, the boss is watching tonight.
Yeah. Then we got AC Train Granny. I think I've seen that one in here once before, but welcome and thank you for coming in. Had a number of people watching tonight, so I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. I want to say thank you to everybody on the panel for being here with us. Andy, Jason, Newcastle, Ralph, thank you.
You're welcome
for being here. Definitely was a good, interesting show tonight. Who would think? Use floor polish on a model. Sounds kind of funny, but hey, the result is outstanding.
You got to think outside the box.
Oh yeah.
You can't argue with the results in the pictures.
Right.
All righty.
Found some before you, Andy.
Well, say keep checking in on the YouTubeMallBuilders.com website for all the latest news and info on Tuesday night presentations, the e-mag, and the live show schedule. Live show is once every month. That's on the third Saturday of the month, and I've changed my calendar, so that will be November the 19th. Be 2 weeks for 2 weeks from this coming Saturday. Also, don't forget daylight savings time ends on Sunday of this weekend, so be sure and turn your clocks back. Otherwise, you'll be early to work, and I know nobody wants to be doing that. And the e-mag is bi-monthly, comes out every other month. Got one coming out this month. JD and his crew have been working feverishly on that. Get out another good e-magazine. So you want to be sure to go to YouTubeMallBuilders.com, sign up for the e-mag notification. Tuesday night presentations are twice a month. That's usually the second and fourth Tuesday of each month. We'll be sure to check those out. You can go to the website, sign up for the e-mag, like I just said, for an email notification. Also, we got all the schedules there for the Tuesday night presentations, the live shows. You want to check schedules, see when they're going to be showing. Thursday night, as everybody knows, is every Thursday. And I want to say that all the shows, all our live shows are at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Check your time zones so you won't miss a show if you got a chance to watch it live. But hey, if you did miss the show, never fear. We do record these. You'll find them on our YouTube channel, which is YouTube Mall Builders. We do have playlists for each one of the shows. We've added a special playlist because we plan on doing some special shows, interviews or whatever with people, hopefully in different parts of the world. We just did one with Kathy Millett, and I got a few other people I want to get lined up, see if we can get interviews with them. And yes, some of them are not trained modelers. They do Warhammer, which is your war games. But hey, their weathering is fantastic. That's what I wanted to talk to them about, is their weathering techniques and all. Because we all can share that for sure. And their scenery techniques also. So, with that, I want to say thank you for participating in tonight's hangout, to everyone on the panel, everybody in the chat. We do have on the Google Plus site, which is YouTube Mall Builders on G+. We do hangouts almost every night. So for everybody watching, if you did want to come in and join in on a hangout, got a webcam, you're quite welcome to do so. So with that said, I want to say thank you to everybody. Have a good weekend. And we'll see you, well, this Tuesday we got a show coming up. That's going to be with the track planner. So you want to be sure and get in on that one. All right, everybody have a good weekend. We'll see you next time around.